to go on stream, I watched a little bit of a video called I Got Divorced Over Yu-Gi-Oh! And I went into it, you know, like lollipop and spinny hat, thinking it was going to be like good, silly fun. Like I thought it was like an exaggeratory title where he was telling a story
Nigga, stop.
about how his wife walked in like Seto Kaiba and ripped his blue eyes, and then he said, "Enough is enough. We'll play a shadow game to decide the fate of our marriage." And then they divorced.
All black men do not need to be rich. Absolutely not. You want all black people to get rich so they can afford switches with a drum on that bitch, with a hollow sight, just to rob the nearest convenience store. No, I'm good, buddy.
Or something. But the reality is, it's a very honest and open look at an unhealthy
You said all black people or all black men. Nah, you didn't say except for thugs.
relationship, and it's one that I went back and finished the video for
Kinger.
and have been thinking about since. So in a nutshell, this guy had a YouTube channel that was dedicated to Yu-Gi-Oh! And he was actually paying his bills through the content he was making. So it's not like this was a hobby that was destructive to him. You know, he wasn't going out on the streets and selling his butt for Yu-Gi-Oh! Briefcases of cards. Like, he was making a living through Yu-Gi-Oh! And his YouTube channel, but his wife didn't really like it. She didn't have any respect for it, and it basically boiled down to he married like his number one hater. And she eventually wore him down enough to the point where he did abandon the hobby and his YouTube channel because she just thought it was kind of cringe, I guess.
How you gonna hate on this nigga making money off of YouTube off of some shit he likes? Nigga, you know how hard that is to do in general? The fact that he loves Yu-Gi-Oh! I love Yu-Gi-Oh! But the fact that he loves Yu-Gi-Oh! You knew this before you feel me, got into it with him. You got mad at this nigga because he loves Yu-Gi-Oh! That shit don't make no sense. And this is how he pays bills.
Like, I'm not saying in every healthy relationship your partner has to, you know, get into whatever hobby you're into, but at the very least, the bare minimum is being understanding and supportive of it. Like, I'm not saying she had to go out there and get a tier 0 deck or learn how to pendulum summon so she could start banishing assholes to the Shadow Realm, but maybe don't be constantly spitting and shitting on your husband for something that he's clearly passionate about and something that is actively making him money.
Nigga, that's a dream, bro. To make money off of shit that you love to do. You know how hard that shit is? And the fact that he was doing it?
Got divorced over Yu-Gi-Oh!
I need to say this. Let me just say it straight out the way. I am no longer married, and I'm divorced.
More time for Yu-Gi-Oh! You can grind. YCS pretty soon, I think. Can't remember when the next YCS is. But you got so much time now.
When I met this woman, and I told her about my Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, she hated it. She didn't like it.
And that was honestly, as much as she's fucked up, like he's fucked up too, nigga. If she didn't like it, nigga, you should have just kept it pushing, bro.
Said that, hey, you can do something better with your life. You should go back to school.
Alright, I hate that. Man, just let someone have hobbies. Like, who cares? It's not hurting anyone, not hurting you. It's nerdy, sure, who cares? It's a hobby. I bet you had stupid hobbies too. Everyone does.
I said, you know what? Maybe she's right. And you know what I did? I sold all my...
Oh. That shit just pissed me the fuck off, bro. You see what the fuck the power that women have over niggas, bro? This nigga sold his collection? No shot.
Equipment. I sold my YouTube channel.
Whoa.
I sold all my camera stuff. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it is time to move on. Maybe it's time for me to do something better with my life. Not knowing that at that time, what I had was very special. At that time, something that I chose to do, YouTube, I gave it up because someone said, hey, you know what? Maybe it is time to move on. You got to do something better with your life.
There are times where someone's hobby is detrimental to them, whether it's financially draining or mentally draining. Like, that is a problem, and that's where you come in and say, like, hey, maybe it's time we look for something else, try a different path, and move on to something else. But that's not the case here. This guy had a channel, and his YouTube and Yu-Gi-Oh hobby were helping sustain him and pay bills. So her coming in there, fee-fi-fo-fumming around, marching up to him, saying like, "You gotta move on," makes no fucking sense. Like, that's so stupid. Just basically saying it's time to grow up. You know, this is a children's card game. We don't do this as adults. It's time you be a real man, a real adult, and start doing crypto scams. Like, it's just silly.
And she's no longer here.
Bro.
And this problem persists. She told me at that time, "Hey, you want to meet my mother?
Wait, but how? But he posted on. I've seen his channel before. No shot, my mouse just died. But he's posting on that account. So how did he must have bought it back or something? There ain't no way.
Need a car." Because I didn't have a car at the time. I was doing YouTube. I was working from home. I didn't need to drive anywhere.
Chasing the dream.
Yes, YouTube is what I did for a living. It's how I paid my bills. And I was street performing also. How did I street perform? I just catch the bus 20 minutes down the street, played my horn, went home. I never needed a car. Even though I explained to her, this is what I chose to do.
Why did she even come into your life then? It sounds like she didn't respect your hobby. She didn't respect your drive, your passion, or anything. Why the fuck was she even here? Just to completely change you?
Yo,
That's sad.
Nigga, she literally married this nigga just to destroy his life. Yo, that's fucked up. This nigga dead ass married someone that literally, purely married him to fuck up his life and left right after.
There's definitely a limit to, like, if you're obsessed with a hobby and it's actually a detriment on your life, which it doesn't sound like it was for him, then I can understand someone coming in and be like, all right, look, maybe we need to reevaluate.
Starting my Marvel Rivals career, hey, I will be playing Marvel Rivals later, but I gotta get my reactions out the way. You feel me?
This, you know, maybe, you know, collecting fucking, I don't know, jelly beans and putting all your money into antique jelly beans is, you know, taking its toll. Maybe we should look at other things so you can get out of the house. You can start, you know, finding something else. I get it. But it doesn't sound like it was to that point here. This is just sad. I imagine the channel was generating income. He just said he was paying his bills through YouTube and street performing. So he was making money.
Wow.
He was perfectly sustaining himself. At least that's the impression I get. She was probably embarrassed to tell her friends what he does for a living. Well, then don't be with him. If you're embarrassed of your significant other, why are you with them in the first place? That's on you. If you don't respect them, don't be with them. It's bad for both you and the partner. I feel like this probably happens a lot, although I've only seen it happen to one of my friends once, where he got with a girl that just really didn't like anything about him. Well, you know, like, what are you doing there? Why are you choosing to be with this person if the goal is to change everything about them, to turn them into a blank canvas for you to paint on? That this doesn't make sense. Find someone that's more compatible with the things you like at that point. Like in this case, she comes in and she just doesn't like any of it. You're going to flush Yu-Gi-Oh down the shitter. You're going to go back to school. Honestly, it sounds like a mom that's trying to like discipline their kid. Like, all right, no more Xbox. We're unplugging the Xbox and you're going to go to school twice as much now. Somehow we're going to find extra school for you to go to. It's just so fucking toxic. This guy was doing just fine. He was providing for himself through his passion, through his ambition, his hobbies, but it didn't fit what she thought was acceptable. So she goes in there and tries to force him to do all of it, and unfortunately succeeds, where he does abandon his hobbies and his passion for her, for this relationship. And that just shouldn't have been a sacrifice that he was forced to make for the sake of the relationship. He didn't need to tribute summon his hobby in order to get his wife's appreciation for what she believes is an acceptable idea for an adult hobby. It was making money, it was paying his bills, and it's something he loved doing. Why change that? There's really no good argument I can think of for it. Sounds like she just hated Yu-Gi-Oh! She must have been more of a Digimon gal.
So, she hated those
Digimon
cards.
too, though.
She literally cried because of those cards. And people say, hey, priorities, man. It's your wife, or, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I mean, I kind of understand that at the same time, but like, nigga, it's his hobby. You gotta support him in what he wants to do. I think that's the main part, and that's why it's fucked up. You prioritize what's gonna be able to take care of y'all. Like, what the fuck?
You tell me your wife was crying about Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
But then I'll be back at that point where I'm giving up things that I like, things that's a part of my life for someone else to feel happy. And I feel miserable in the process. I love that. I miss that. Why can't she come along with my journey instead of scrutinizing me?
She could have literally made her own like small career off of his own shit. She could have been featured in videos trying to learn how to play. Maybe she even started to like it. And maybe she doesn't. But maybe she shows up like, hey, go follow my wife. She does this and that. Nigga, she could, bro.
And then that's money gone from me. It's not about the money, but that was money gone from me.
That was his career. Man, what a disaster. What a shame. Imagine your Yu-Gi-Oh passion being so epic it makes your wife cry. My husband has mastered the shadow games. Damn! Fuck! I'd want nothing more than my partner loving their job, man. I'd cry tears of joy. I imagine that's how it works in most healthy relationships, brother.
HHP_cam1 says my name is Simple.
I feel like it's kind of important to have, like, respect. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's kind of basic. He triggered her trap card of divorce. Now, another thing I was thinking about when I went back and watched the whole video is that there is a time where a hobby becomes too consuming, where it starts straining the relationship. Like, maybe he was always fiddling around with those Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you know, by candlelight in like a dark room, and, you know, scratching at his neck for more Yu-Gi-Oh cards and ignoring his wife and letting the relationship start to crumble around him because it's always Yu-Gi-Oh all the time. But I don't think that was the case here. And you'll see why I think that in a moment, the more he explains about how it got to that point. And it's not all about Yu-Gi-Oh! He does talk about how a big part of his life has always been music and street performing, and even that wasn't acceptable to her or her parents, really.
I met the parents. They asked me, hey, what do you do for a living? I had to tell them I am a musician. I couldn't tell them I was a street musician. I am a musician. Then they said, hey, you have a degree? I said, I don't have a degree. My ex-wife parents did not speak to me for 2 years and told her not to marry me because I don't have a degree.
That's fucking brutal, and to me, it blows my little noodle because this guy was doing so fine on his own. He was paying all of his bills. He was living just fine with the money.
That just shows you how much women can also be a hindrance to you and what you do. It's a setback in most cases. It's rare that something gets added and becomes more of what it's supposed to be. It's usually, you know, like it just diminishes the shine that you have. That's why it's a lot of times just better to be single, doing your own thing. But I mean, he's at the age where he got to get married and shit like that, or he feels like he should.
He was making through Yu-Gi-Oh! YouTube content and street performing music. And he'll talk about it in a moment, he was making enough money where he could provide for both himself and his wife through those passions. Yet they wanted him to just burn it all to the ground, fucking salt the earth so he could restart with what they think is acceptable, which was going back to school to get a degree and getting a 9-to-5 job. Both things that he did do. Well, he got the 9-to-5 job and attempted school, but school wasn't working out super well for him. But he did everything for that relationship to try and make her happy and be like an acceptable partner in his ex-wife's parents' eyes.
So I give up this YouTube thing. I give up my entrepreneurial things. I try to do something that's not innately a part of my strengths at all because I'm thinking I'm in love to do something for somebody to prove something.
Yeah, this nigga got finessed. Biggest finesse of 2024, I'm not gonna lie. Nigga got scammed.